G'day everyone, Artist Wayne and Jacqui here, and today we were leaving the beautiful Warrumbungle National Park. We smashed out heaps of the stunning bushwalks on offer here, and perhaps it was time to have a little rest. So we headed to Baradine. It's a small country town in northwestern New South Wales, and was only a short 77-kilometre drive.
150 metres, turn left onto Lackland Street.
And the reason we picked Baradine? Well, it's the gateway to the vast and ancient Pilliga Forest. And just between you and I, my fellow adventurers, the Pilliga is definitely a Yowie hotspot.
This is it, love.
We arrived at Camp Cypress, our home for the next few days. An ideal spot to just catch up and hit the Pilliga to discover some hidden gems. Camp Cypress sits right beside the Baradine showground, and the town of Baradine is roughly 500 kilometres northwest of Sydney. With an IGA and 2 great pubs, it was the perfect spot for our little stay. Today it was time to get stuff done, after brekkie of course. Since we left the Warrumbungles, our grey water tank gauge has been stuck on a quarter. Now we've got some water in there at the moment. When you're in a national park you have to hold your grey water, but anyway it really started to stink as well because it gets toxic after, I don't know, 24 hours. So Jacqui is going to try, what are you doing?
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pour some sodium bicarb or bicarb of soda down into the sink, and then I'm going to pour a cup of vinegar, and
We're creating a bomb.
that's going to react, hopefully.
Yeah, what's the smell coming from?
That's the vinegar I can smell.
Oh, look at that.
You. Alright, so we're just going to leave that for half an hour.
Apart from fixing our grey water tank and doing a mountain load of washing, I needed to fix my e-bike after breaking it in the Warrumbungle National Park.
What seems to be the problem, Artist Wayne?
Well, I took the hub off and I think it's the hub drive. It's just totally rooted, so there's nothing I can do now. We'll have to wait and see. Come to a bike shop. Not to worry though, because that afternoon we had some special guests arriving. Our mates Vic and Leonie had big plans for us the following day. Today Jacqui and I were following Vic and Leonie all through the Pilliga Scrub. We were on a Pilliga safari. We hired a scout today, our mate Victor. He's there with Leonie. Victor used to live in the Pilliga, didn't he, love?
Yes, he comes from the Pilliga.
He comes from the Pilliga.
And his mum still lives in the Pilliga.
He still lives in the Pilliga. He knows the Pilliga like the back of his hand. The unique Pilliga Forest changes from cypress pine to ironbark to scribbly gum to box and back again in just a few hundred metres. More than 350 species of birds, mammals, reptiles and frogs make this forest their home. Our first stop was the sculptures in the scrub at Dandry Gorge in Tumalali National Park. Here you can view the magnificent Aboriginal culture inspired sculptures overlooking the spectacular Dandry Gorge. You'll find these sculptures along a medium grade walk of about 1.2 kilometres. The local Gamilaroi Aboriginal people are proud of their cultural heritage. This heritage includes a connection to the Pilliga landscape and the native plants and animals within it. Stone tools, grinding grooves, modified trees and rock art provide a strong link with traditional times. The award-winning sculptures you see here were a project that was 4 years in the making. Each sculpture is the result of an artist collaborating with local Aboriginal elders and young people on a piece that tells a story of local Aboriginal history and culture. Dandry Gorge has a very special place for the Gamilaroi people. The sculptures are not out of place with their natural surroundings, rich in Aboriginal history. Once you've viewed all the sculptures, you can continue along the loop track which takes you down into the scenic gorge along Dandry Creek. The first Europeans to see the Pilliga were John Oxley's exploring party in 1818. Settlers soon followed, moving west in search of grazing land for sheep and cattle. Farming here faced many problems, and timber cutting gradually came to the fore and grew into a major local industry. By 1908 there were 300 men cutting sleepers on Crown land south of the Pilliga Narrabri Road. Evidence of the fascinating history of the Pilliga can be found in many places. We're about to head off to find more. However, we didn't bloody get far before we struck a problem. Well, not us, but Vic.
It's a bit flat.
Go right up.
Oh, I'm squawking out of tyre.
The Pilliga Scrub is not the place you want to be broken down in. I've just been making sure there's no Yowie attacks.
Good on you.
Well, it didn't take long to get Vic back on the road, and we were once again hurtling through the Pilliga Forest, this time in search of the Salt Caves. According to legend, the Salt Caves were once 30 metres deep, and salt hung in columns like stalactites from the roof. Wild horses, wild cattle and kangaroos were often seen, and local women collected the salt to cure their meat. The cave system is said to have collapsed in the 1930s and left no sign of salt. There's also a lookout tower on top of the Salt Caves, and the first lookout between 1938 and 39 was a rangefinder on a sawn-off pine stump. The first timber lookout tower stood from 1939 to 1972. In 72, a steel fire tower was constructed, but during the 1970s, regular manning of fire towers was discontinued. In 2012, the present tower was constructed, mainly for visitor access. Well, our mate Vic was really showing us the sights, but where he took us next would blow our minds. We were now making our way over to the Sandstone Caves Pilliga Nature Reserve. And just a heads up for those that are looking for these sandstone caves, directions to access the caves are required, as the area is not signposted from the Newell Highway at the request of Aboriginal elders. This 1.7 kilometre medium grade walk takes you through a picturesque part of the forest to the impressive sandstone hills. The numerous caves along the walk range in sizes and colour, with some containing Aboriginal rock engravings. Jacqui and I were lucky to have our mate / scout, the one and only Vic, leading the way. Unfortunately, Vic and Leonie had to leave us and head to Coonabarabran to source some tyres for his ute. But his parting words to me were, "Why don't you hide in one of these caves, Wayne, and give wife Jacqui a scare?" Because all this talk about Yowies had put her on edge. Once Jacqui recovered from her scare, we headed back to camp and waited for Vic and Leonie to return so we could celebrate a fantastic day by hitting the local pub for dinner. The following morning we bid farewell to Vic and Leonie, however we would see them again soon enough. As for Jacqui and I, we headed into town to organise something special. We're heading to the Pilliga Forest Discovery Centre so that we can book a site for tonight, the Yowie-infested Pilliga. The Pilliga Forest Discovery Centre in Baradine is a must-see. It's chock-a-block full of interesting information. As for Jacqui and I, well, we secured our camping spot at the campground right near the Salt Caves and Fire Tower we'd visited yesterday with Vic and Leonie. We left Camp Cypress and hit the road for our night in the Pilliga. And we weren't just here to camp in this glorious landscape, we were here for the Yowie. Well, when I say we, I mean me. Basically, wife Jacqui thinks I'm mad. This is the sort of flora that Yowies love. Small stunted trees, thick scrub. Shaped by fire, you wouldn't even see one in here. They just blend in so well. The Pilliga, a forest so thick, it's said to be home to yowies. You know, the local Kamilaroi people said they were hairy ape-like creatures, smelly, 4 meters tall and capable of swallowing little kids whole. For a long time now, locals have talked of this 500,000 hectare wilderness not as bush, forest or national park. Instead, ominously, it was the Pilliga Scrub. Oh, would you look at that, we've arrived. Located at Salt Caves picnic area, this informal campground has basic facilities and is suitable for tents, caravans and camper trailers. The Salt Caves campground is a good base for yowie hunting. Beautiful. Once we had our camp all set up, we then went on to do one of the most important things national parks and wildlife don't tell you to do. We checked our perimeter. Once everything was safe and secure, we climbed the fire tower once more and watched the sun go down on another glorious day. I'm just taking Jacqui to the outdoor loo. What the was that?
Wayne, don't leave me behind. Wayne.
The next morning we hightailed it out of the Pilliga Scrub and we pointed our caravan and ram in the direction of Pilliga. It's a small country village 105 kilometres west of Narrabri in the Northwest Plains section of the New England region of New South Wales. Located near the Pilliga Forest, which of course supports a rich assortment of bird life, not to mention the elusive yowies. Trust me, they're out there, but they're hard to find.
Where are we off to today, Wayne?
Oh, I think we're off to the Pilliga, the town Pilliga, which I didn't even know existed. On a sandy, red dirt track in yowie country.
Well,
There's not many yowies around though, we didn't see any last night.
well, hopefully we'll be successful tonight. Seeing a yowie.
I don't think there'll be any in the four paths.
Well, you never know. If it's cold enough, they might come in for a wee dip. So we've gone past Aloes, and then we've gone down here,
Yeah.
and now we've come out here, which is Canterbury. And now we need to turn right and go towards
We're on the
Wabbagar.
Central Pilliga bird route. I only saw one bird. Cattle on the long paddock. Once we passed Wabbagar, it's a short 24 kilometres of straight dirt road which takes you to the town of Pilliga. It's a special place because it's where our mate Vic grew up. Jacqui and I would be catching up with Vic and Leonie once again, and we'd also catch up with Vic's lovely mum Carol, who's lived in the Pilliga all her life. But first, we needed to set up camp at the Pilliga Artesian Bore Bath. The natural health-giving waters that flow into the Pilliga Artesian Bore Baths have been doing so for well over a century. This would be our home for the next 2 nights. Once camp was set up, we joined Vic and Leonie, who took us on a tour of the town, which included the remnants of a cannabis plantation which was discovered and destroyed by the police just outside of town. In fact, it was right near where Vic used to ride his motorcycle as a young fella. There were no cannabis plants left behind, just a bulldozer and a Chinaman's broom. And after a visit to one of the oldest homes in Pilliga, we finished the day at the local pub playing pool. We spent our last day in Pilliga doing the 5.5 kilometre Wetlands Walk. This is really dry here. As we do the Wetlands Walk. After catching up with our mate Vic yesterday. It's so dry here in the town of Pilliga. The earth appears to have been scorched. Pilliga, land of the tumbleweed. Tumbleweeds everywhere here. You don't want to touch them, they're really spiky. There we go, these tumbleweeds. All blown by the fence. All tumbleweeds. Well, tomorrow we were leaving, so I guess now it's time to give the Pilliga and all it had to offer a score. My stay in the Pilliga was fantastic, and catching up with Vic and Leonie, brilliant. My only disappointment was we didn't find a yowie, not for lack of trying though, but I'm giving our stay in the Pilliga 5 out of 5.
We had such a wonderful time in the Pilliga, and it was absolutely fantastic to catch up with Vic and his partner Leonie, and also to meet his lovely mum Carol. So I'm giving the Pilliga a 5 out of 5.
The Pilliga is a fantastic place and well worth the visit. So hit the like and subscribe button because I'm Artist Wayne.
And I'm Jacqui, and we'll see you next time.